right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam aka Marf. Today we are going to be talking about a ton of stuff and taking live calls at the same time. We're going to talk about the mandatory car kill switch that was just sneaked into a bill. We're also going to be talking about nuclear talks between countries. A lot is happening in the last 24 hours, and you can call in on it. 224-400-MARF right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We have a ton to talk about in a short amount of time. So if you are new here, remember you can actually follow along on our website. Right here, it is very easy to navigate. It is all done by thumbnail, so you'll just look for today's show upside down. Everything flipped, and then once you click on that, you will see that we have made a bibliography of all of our sources. So if we show you a picture, a tweet, a video, an archived document, or even what the caller is talking about, we will list that here on the website, so that way you know exactly where your stories are coming from. That way we can also retrospectively go back and search through our work. Even my transcript, which YouTube automatically, every single video on its platform, they actually give us the availability to take that transcript of every word said, because they're watching it so they can do closed captions, but we can actually take advantage of that, and we can then put it into our website as a searchable database. So if we talk about a story that is mentioned here today, if you remember any of it, you can go to our website to the very upper corner, and then you can search back for that news story. So very, very useful. I hope that people end up using it. There's a lot of stuff here. Now, on the other side, when you get to this yellow bar, there is too hot for TV. Basically, that is the stuff that is too charged or too hot for TV, basically the stuff that is getting people knocked off or even talking about. That we still show you. We just keep it to our website, which is completely free, and it is a great resource. On the right side, if you do want to support us, we are completely independent. We basically rely on our Foogle family for support. Again, we never started asking for stuff until we started expanding. We are now trying to expand again, so hopefully we can get there at some point. I would love to expand past Dex. Speaking of expanding, let's bring in Dex, my co-host / internet brother / most awesome guy in the world, and we'll be on the phones tonight. Dex, what is going on, and how are you doing tonight?
Hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm feeling upside down.
Yeah, that was good. I kind of miss our when we used to begin the show and do a skit every show. I kind of miss that. Anyways, I'm sure most people don't, though. And then thank you, Crazy's Yoshi. Thank you for joining us and just subscribing a couple minutes ago. And then Night 73, Luis May, Michael Gentry. Thank you all for joining us and subscribing to the Foogle Fam. All right, and then let's get right into it. Remember, you can actually call at 224-400-MARF. Again, that is going to be down here below. If you do not have a phone with the numbers and letters on them, you can always type 224-400 6273 is what MARF stands for. All right, again, that's 2244-006273. And then I'll be repeating that number throughout the show just in case, because we'll have a lot more people coming in as we go. And then let's get right into the first story. We have buried in President B's infrastructure bill is a mandatory backdoor kill switch for your car. It says, remember that 2,700-page, $1 trillion infrastructure bill that the U.S. government passed back in August? Well, have you read it? Of course, we're joking. We know that you haven't read it. Most of the legislators who voted on it probably haven't either. Some folks have, though, and they're finding some pretty alarming things buried in that bill. One of the most concerning things we've heard so far is the revelation that the infrastructure bill includes a measure mandating vehicle backdoor kill switches in every car by 2026. It says the clause is intended to increase vehicle safety by passively monitoring the performance of a driver of a motor vehicle to accurately identify whether that driver may be impaired. So this is exactly what we mentioned. We talked about this before. We talked about how they were mentioning that they needed some sort of system for drunk driving, and they wanted to combat this. And we were talking about what ideas they had for that. Just 1 second. So let me pop. I'm going to pop something up here in a second. Basically, we talked about. We talked about how would they do this? Would they do this with cameras watching your eyes? Some car companies are already doing that. I know that Hyundai, my friend's car has a thing that can actually tell him if he's tired. If he blinks too much, it recognizes that he's blinking a lot, and then it will give him a warning. Well, this is even worse because, of course, this is under the guise that it is for impaired driving, and if you're drunk, they can turn off your car, right? Well, that also means that almost every new car on the road could be turned off just like that. And I'm sure there would be a master kill switch, if anything. It says that, and if that sentence doesn't make your hair stand on end, you're not thinking about the implications. Let's spell it out for you. By 2026, in just 5 years from now, think about how fast the last 5 years since 2016 has gone by. It says vehicles sold in the U.S. will be required to automatically and silently record various metrics of driver performance and then make a decision, absent any human oversight, whether the owner will be allowed to use their own vehicle. This is like, I don't understand how people didn't see this freaking bill. It was $1 trillion. 2,700 pages, and nobody was paying attention. But through this current thing that they have you just so wrapped up in, they have done every single thing. I mean, if you remember, the event in September of 2001 got a very big thing passed because we were all afraid. We were afraid of something. And through that, we were so afraid and so angry that the Patriot Act basically passed. And a lot of people were like, yeah, we just want to be safe. We don't want any more of this horrible, horrible things to happen, right? Of course, with that, we were all being tracked. Edward Snowden then later came out and showed us proof that they were tracking every single thing we were doing. They were listening to all of our phone calls. They were essentially tracking every single person in the United States and the world. They could access private information. They could go into your phone and access your camera. They could go into the French president's phone and access his camera. Heck, they could go into his laptop, access his camera. They could access his security cameras at home if there were Wi-Fi. They could access anything and everything. That wasn't bad enough. Now, this new bill, though, which has been done and put in, of course, everybody's like, we just want our checks. We just want our $400 or $600 or whatever it is, right? They don't think that, okay, so what are the other 2,699 pages for? What is all of this being done, and why is it being done now? How was this even put through? We're talking about, by 2030, you might have to limit yourself to a steak, one steak per month, and all these other things that they just kind of pushed in. And if they announced it and said, hey, we're going to do this change one by one, We would have said no on almost all of them, but somehow they packed in 2,700 pages worth of crazy things that are essentially taking away every last freedom that we have. You won't even be able to drive your car. People are on the other end of the spectrum are going to say, well, that means people can't be dumb and drive 100 miles an hour. Well, there's places on Earth where you're allowed to drive 100 miles an hour. Either way, should they be controlling that? The whole principle of this is the government shouldn't be able to control when you drive or how you transport yourself. That's the whole point. Governments have gone corrupt before. The whole reason for the Constitution was to prevent tyranny. And people didn't see this. I mean, like, this is probably the biggest story of the day over all of the other stuff, and nobody is going to talk about this. Like, you know, nobody's going to, I bet you barely anyone is going to mention this at the water cooler. This is what people should be paying attention to, and people should push back on this. Just saying, like, why? So what if it stops all drunk driving? Well, it also means that if anything goes wrong, if we get the wrong guy in office or the wrong administration and they turn out to be the next Adolf, which again could happen in the future, they would be able to turn off all of our vehicles all at once. Nobody could, and even if you had a working car, if they turned off every car that was working on the freeway, would you be able to use the freeway if they did it when it was rush hour? You turn off the cars during rush hour, even if you have a working car, all of the dead cars on the road would stop you from traveling anywhere. What if somebody hacks this and does this involuntarily? What if somebody got into our system? Oh, I don't know, like Solar Winds, which hacked all 5 of our military branches, including Space Force. What if another hack like that happened? Only at this point, in 5 years from now, when every single new car has this system in it, they could hack and turn off all of the cars of the United States without an EMP. This is the stupidest thing I have ever heard, and I cannot believe that this why didn't this come out earlier? It says, let us spell it out for you. By 2026, vehicles sold in the U.S. will be required to automatically and silently record various metrics of driving, then make a decision about any human oversight, whether the owner will be allowed to use their own vehicle. Even worse, the measure goes on to require the system to be open to remote access by authorized third parties at any time. It says the passage in the bill was unearthed by former Georgia Representative Bob Barr. Writing over to the Daily Caller, Barr notes that correctly that this is a privacy disaster in the making. Not only does it make every vehicle a potential tattletale, possibly reporting minor traffic infractions like slight speeding or forgetting your seatbelt to authorities or insurance companies, but tracking that data also makes it possible for bad actors to retrieve it. And this is exactly what I was saying. Not only that, the newest vehicles, which are already implemented, these vehicles now have cameras. A lot of them offer these options, which I guarantee will be standard by then. In just 5 years, from 2016 to 2021, you have seen so many radars and things that you would have to pay $40,000 for in a 2013 vehicle now are standard. This is going to become where you have cameras inside and out for safety purposes, for basically built-in dash cams and things like this, which are a good thing I guess in thought, but only if it's completely your ability to retrieve that stuff. If you're talking about it where it's wired into a Wi-Fi capable car that's completely, or even satellite capable car, you're talking about your car is going to be another monitoring device for the government. And people don't see this. I don't get it. This is incredible. It says more pressing than the privacy concerns, though, are the safety issues, including the automatic kill switch of this sort in a machine with internet access presents the obvious scenario with a malicious agent that could disable your vehicle remotely with no warning. Outside that possible but admittedly unlikely idea, there are all kinds of other reasons that somebody might need to drive or use their vehicle while impaired, such as in the case of emergency or while injured. It says even with the remote access part of the mandate doesn't come to pass, the measure is still astonishingly short-sighted. As Barr said, the choice as to whether a vehicle can or cannot be driven will rest in the hands of an algorithm over which the car's owner or driver have neither knowledge or control. It says Barr, a lawyer himself, points out that there will be legal issues with this whole concept too. He anticipates challenges to the measures on both the Fifth Amendment, right to not self-incriminate, and Sixth Amendment, right to face one's accuser grounds. He also goes on to comment on the vagueness of the legislation. What exactly is, quote, impaired driving? Every state and many municipalities have differing definitions of driving while intoxicated. It could be many things. It could even be tired. If you show the same symptoms, or if you're tired, if you've been driving for 10 hours. Now, some would say that it's better and safer that way. Well, they can't control you, or they're not supposed to, or they, didn't used to be, but now this is happening. Delaware Sasquatch says also expect data to be sold to insurance companies. Yeah. And they can charge you higher premiums based on that they know you speed, or that they know you don't put your seatbelt on, or that this year you've taken 4 shortcuts through parking lots, so you are a high risk scenario, and you've got to pay $200 more, or you sped through a school zone, or whatever. There's the other side of this that people say, well, those are all bad things. It's like the whole point is that the government shouldn't be the one that's in charge. Neither should an algorithm. You have to take the negatives with the positives, and the positives of freedom far outweigh any of the negatives of people being safe. That's the thing. Safety is our biggest enemy at this point. Safety is our enemy. I would rather walk my entire life on a 6-inch cliff edge than deal with what is coming. It says Delaware Sasquatch will be used to monitor everything, and who will be held responsible if malfunctions and stops you in the middle of the freeway? Infrastructure? Exactly. Seth Covington, bank accounts are going to be crazy soon enough. Yes, they're going to be tracking every last interaction that you have in the banking system, and that was before. That was something that only happened when you did something really crazy, like pulled out $11,000 and flipped it around. Then they would say, "Hey, why did you do that?" Right? And now it's they're going to lower that, and I'm surprised they didn't get that $600 rule in, but that's because somebody exposed it before it went through. This one got through, so now it's up to the legal it's up to courts and others to actually go against this. So I hope there's people out there that will actually look at this and say how wrong this truly is. Lisa K23, thank you. Hey, D-Live just glitched, but also auto cars will work. But also cars, yeah. So think about this. Think about all the glitches that happen on some of the biggest companies, and then think about, what if a glitch happens and it stops your car going 65 miles per hour in the middle of a freeway of everybody going 80? Scooby-Doo right, Lisa K23, thank you so much. We've got Kishara in the house. Hey, it's nice to see you again. Tabby Cat, it's been a minute. Cookielicious, Mrs. H, and Truth Seeker, thank you guys. New people that have joined over on D-Live, Boxer Mamas, Kona 222, Squishy Yones, and Della Berta 49. And if somebody can, in the chat, how many, what are we up to over on D-Live as far as, I know we're past 30,000. Are we, what are we at as far as, followers over there? I know that we might be hitting a milestone here pretty close. Holiday Kisser says, interesting. Spartano Negative, what's going on? By the way, able-bodied, nice to see you, and thank you for modding and being here. Patissa, thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate that. Did an applause. No, yeah, I don't think so. 36.94. Hey, thank you. So closing in on 40. Gurak, what's going on? David Dickin, Gerald Jaramillo, Eric Kenrick, Jen Boyles. Hey, how are you? And Jammer1 says 6 from 37,000. Hey, thank you. Seriously, I appreciate that. Fun until the algorithm took the T-Bird away. Yeah, with to the classic song, right? And then NASA to launch rocket over North Pole to investigate mysterious space speed bump, and Santa approves. It says after a nearly 2-year delay, NASA's C-REX 2 is set to try and figure out what causes the speed bump at 250 miles above Earth. If nothing else, maybe it will give Santa some answers as to why Rudolph gets a bit slower at times. It says that NASA has been extremely busy as of late with launching various missions such as DART, which aims to purposely slam a satellite into an asteroid and change its course, and Artemis, which aims to put humankind back on the surface of the moon by the end of the decade. So it says, but the past couple of years, there have not always been kind to NASA's planning. One mission that saw setbacks in prior years, part of the Grand Challenge Initiative, or CUSP, and it ended up being delayed due to space weather conditions and the sieve Pandy. And it says that mission, CUSP Region Experiment 2, or C-REX, is now nearing another possible launch and hopes to solve a long-time mystery. So, one thing that kind of I think is kind of weird, I have not heard of this yet. If you are in the chat and you have read about this and you know all about it and you've been following these different launches, why are we reacting to space weather? Or I guess, how could we not launch something that goes around Earth to look at the North Pole? Is this just like why is there a specific time that they have to launch on this one? Or is this something that's actually possibly launching to do something else? Just want to throw this out there, and this is a crazy idea, and of course I'm probably wrong. Maybe there's information that says otherwise. But as far as the DART was canceled because of space weather, and they had to launch it very specifically because they were trying to target something. They were trying to hit something, right? So they had to wait, and they waited until a specific day, and then they finally launched because they were planning on hitting this thing with a nuke, essentially, or it's an impactor, right? So it's supposed to hit Didymos or Diddy Moon or whatever it is, P. Diddy. This one is the same way. So it got delayed, and now it's launching. Is this really to go around and to look at to look at the North Pole, or are they launching at a very specific time? Could this also be used? And is this going out to hit maybe a different asteroid or something? We've had a ton of secretive launches lately, and I don't know what all of these are about. Now, if you remember Atlas about a year and a half ago, or I don't even know if it was a year ago, if you remember, there was a star that was getting brighter and brighter, or a comet, and they said that it was going to be as bright as the moon in just a couple weeks from when it basically imploded. We were watching this thing that was, supposedly trillions of years old, billions, we don't know how old it was, hurtling through space, and it was getting brighter and brighter and brighter. And this was all over the news, and people were like, this thing's crazy because it's going to get brighter and brighter and brighter. And they said that they've never seen something get bright so fast. How bright it was getting, and it was like quadrupling, and they were like, this is incredible. It was just getting brighter and brighter and brighter. And I don't even know if they explained that. But then from like a Tuesday to a Wednesday, it all of a sudden broke apart. They said, in a couple weeks from now, it's going to be as big as, or the light from it is going to be as bright as the night moon sky. So this thing was going to light up the entire Earth. It was going to be that bright. And on a Tuesday to a Wednesday, it was like, boom, all of a sudden they said it broke up. So this thing that was billions of years old that we are watching, probably delayed by light years or whatever it was, we just happened to see as the whole world is watching it, it broke apart. And it stopped getting brighter. So Dex actually looked at how far all of these astronomers said it was, how far away it was, and how many millions of miles or billions of miles. And then he looked at how fast our rockets go, or what the listed speed is, and how long it would take for a rocket to get there. He took that time period, so say it was like 2.5 years that it would take to get to this thing, from that current time. And then he went back and he found 5 secret launches from NASA, all with a secret payload, and they were all launched virtually back to back. So it was kind of weird. It was almost like, did they see that coming before? Was that even the Sunspot Observatory thing that shut down or whatever it was? Was that discovered? And then did they put something in hypergear, and would they tell us? My thought is they would never tell us. If there was something that was possibly going to put Earth at risk, they wouldn't tell us, and they would erase it from all of the different monitoring sites. I've gotten into arguments over with other YouTubers that follow the programs that track these things, and they say, no, there's nothing like that. There's nothing close. And I'm like, well, who do you think that they would be able to list one that says it's going to impact Earth in, say, 6 months from now? Do you think that they would keep that there? Or do you think the U.S. government or the world governments or the UN wouldn't go in there and say, we're deleting this off, you can't tell the rest of the world? I mean, it's pretty simple to see. If they did, think about the kind of reaction we have from, say, court cases. Think about the reaction the Earth would have if they found out something was going to impact the Earth in 5 years. Or that the world was coming to an end for some reason. Just saying, I think of it like that. I think about all the weird stuff that is happening right now, and it's happening in real life. They're telling us that they're trying to get to Mars and the moon, and all of the richest people in the world, the ones that, they could be spending money buying islands, they're instead buying rockets to get off the planet. So what does that really kind of tell you? It's like they're putting all of their money into trying to go off Earth, and then you have Prince William saying, hey, these people are just pieces of crap. They should be fixing Earth instead of trying to get off. So he's saying these guys are not sticking around. They're going to go somewhere else while all of this stuff goes down, whether it be the weather down here, whether it be total darkness, whether it be an event, or whether it be an asteroid impact. They're leaving. They're even taking the effort and the time to set up an official government in space. Whether you believe in space or not, I guess the whole point is, what do you think that is actually happening then? Like, why are they doing all of this, and why are they keeping it so secretive? I think it's extremely weird, and it still boggles my brain to this day. All right, and then Violaman, thank you from Canada, says government paying farmers ×2 to take their crops and topsoil down. So I don't know if I have not gotten like 100% confirmation on that. I don't know who did that YouTube video. I will go check it out. Patissa, what I would like to actually do is, if you are a farmer and that has been offered to you, please let me know. And then Patissa, thank you so much. And then Gerald Jaramillo says, just got my EMP shield for my truck in the mail today. Keep up the great work, Adam and Dex. Still Dex #1 fan. That's awesome. Hey, Gerald, thank you so much for supporting us. I appreciate that, and I'm glad that you got it. I hope you got it at Black Friday, because right now I believe it's the lowest it's been since last year. Spartan O Negative, thank you. And then Ho Operator says, it's just another way to steal from you. Yorktown judge threatened me with jail over mentioning the Constitution. I believe that. I actually do believe that. I don't know what the whole situation with that is, but again, they don't like that word anymore. All right, and then just to finish up on that, it says around noon local time at the North Pole, a funnel-shaped gap in Earth's magnetic field passes overhead. It is this magnetic field that protects us mortals from the solar wind caused by the stream of charged particles erupting off the sun. The gap that is caused by the disturbance in the magnetic field, called a polar cusp, permits the solar wind with a direct line of access to Earth's atmosphere. The gap also produces anomalies that have perplexed scientists over the last 20 years. As radio and GPS signals pass through this part of the sky, they begin behaving strangely. But perhaps more perplexing is that the spacecraft pass through the region of atmosphere, they actually slow down. Mark Condy, a physicist at the University of Alaska Fairbanks and the principal investigator for NASA's CUSP region experiment, explained at around 250 miles above Earth, spacecraft feel more drag, sort of like they have hit a speed bump. It says the air that is encountered is noticeably denser than anywhere else in where a spacecraft travels while in orbit of the Earth. Well, scientists know this much. They don't know why or how this occurs. They hope that the data collected by C-REX 2 will give them some insight into this mystery. They can then take that knowledge to better anticipate changes in a spacecraft's trajectory. I wonder if some are going to look at that like it's a imaginary, like a dome or something. Basically, they're saying once they get up to a certain level, there's an actual force there that slows it down. That's kind of a trip. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And I have to be Dex. I know that we've got callers on the line, and then we're gonna have Brandon, first time caller. But I'm gonna have you cover this one because, again, I'm not gonna say anything. You put this one in there. I'm gonna have you cover it.
Well, yeah. So this is, as the headline says, and I'm not crazy about the headline, and maybe take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. But what happens here is there's actually quoting from a family friend who's a doctor, who knows the son of the current Prez, or JB, his son, whose name begins with the letter H, and actually rented or was his landlord for a time. And there's these conversations that have been published now from him in a book that talk about the state of mind of our current president. And this is back, the references he's making were back in earlier time. So it's not like recent. It was sort of like, hey, he was acknowledging as a doctor and saying that he had onset of dementia. So that's kind of an interesting thing if that is true. And, it is what it is. This is being told by the person who diagnosed it as a doctor. I don't know if he was his doctor, but as a doctor made the proclamations, and then carried on these conversations with his son. Even one thing saying, hey, when we have our podcast, and I'm paraphrasing here, the first person we're going to have on is my dad, meaning the son was saying his dad, the current president, JB. And he's like, the doctor, his name is Abelo, responded, well, yeah, but how's he going to do with his dementia? And he's like, yeah, he's kind of having problems, but it's all sort of, fake news. So it doesn't really matter anyway. So like those types of conversations that were documented back, a few years back is rather interesting, with everybody saying these things about, the state of mind with our current president. Now, it doesn't mean that he's, full on in that state. This isn't necessarily a public, official statement on him, but this is information that has come out from a doctor who was a family friend, or, part of the family and part of the inner circle, who made these statements, and it's been well documented and it's come out. And so it's a really interesting story. I think you should read it. Basically,
before he was president, they were talking about this, and when it wasn't a big deal, and he wasn't on the docket to be this person. He was just, he's got his set in stone position. They were talking about him possibly having it, and he's like, yeah, it's coming on, and his family and this doctor was talking about it.
Yeah, and the doctor Keith Abelo, he even said, they asked him if he would do an endorsement, and he goes, tongue in cheek, he said, yeah, any man who can triumph over dementia is a giant. Think what he could do for, the nation's needed recovery. So, that kind of statement is, that and others that he made were sort of clear that he's talking to, in this inner circle and referencing the fact that he has dementia.
Hey, Dex, we've got a helicopter flying over. It's shaking the house.
They're coming to get you?
I don't know. I just wanted to point that out. I don't know if that trend, could you hear that in the background?
I could not. I tried, but I didn't hear it. Maybe if we turned it up really loud.
I turned the mic all the way up. The thing is, I'm in the basement, so that's even like the lights over there were just. It's weird, and we're not, in a path. So
those are always fun when they happen, because those, and I assume it's a military, because they're always stronger than
Yeah, regular one.
Non-military, and you just really feel the thud of the propellers going around.
Well, I usually, if I'm not doing this show, I run out and try to see which one it is, because obviously military helicopters are baddest. We just talked about this last night with the military helicopters that flew through that stadium super low. Those were, that would be something I would want to see. As far as
especially that Chinook, those are really heavy.
Well, I can usually tell which ones they are. I have been confused between like there's Hueys. There's old Hueys that have been turned into like citizen helicopters. The Hueys that were in Vietnam, those have been turned into those are loud too. Those are boom, 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 boom. They're very specific sound. If you were in Vietnam, you probably know exactly what the sound of a Huey is. They just have a very specific sound. Now I'm starting to get to know the difference between all of them, because there's so much more of them. Everybody in the Fugel fam is saying that there's more and more and more of these military helicopters just flying all over the place. Why? So anyways, let's see here. Yeah.
Well, anyway, this was relevant because just recently, as we've covered, 2 different updates on the president's health, and what was sort of generically said that seemed kind of, lack of detail from his doctor, to then some other doctors who were former presidential doctors making their comments on the fact that it was lack of detail. And then we've got this. So it's sort of relevant in this space right now as what's been going on in the conversations. But yeah, I totally get it. This can be a little sided, but it was interesting though that the quotes and the information that's come out in this book that, specifically rely on this family friend who's a doctor.
Yeah.
Making these comments.
Someone that's in it. What do you guys think? Leave us a comment down below or give us a call, 2244-006273. That number again will be scrolling down at the bottom. That's 2244-006273. All right, and then a message from Tom Homan. Well, and Dex, can we find out if the sale is still going on?
Still going. It's got a few hours left, so you guys jump on it.
Okay.
Matter of fact, it's what's crazy, Adam. They sent an email out with their own promotion, but if you use ours, you get even more off than they were doing for their customers. That's how cool we are.
Okay, so again, because we were grandfathered in before they even had, they didn't even, I don't believe when we started with them, they didn't even have all of the government contracts that they have, and agencies like DHS and DOD, and then of course the DEMSO team. So remember, we have a grandfathered in discount that also stacks. So you can always get our discount through our link, plus whatever sale. They had the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and that's continued, but that is ending. So remember to get over there, marfugelnews.com/EMP. If you don't know about this, ask anyone else in the Fugel family that has already got these and put them in their house. You can buy one for your car. That way, then if an EMP happens, it won't just shut off. You'll have, it will protect it. It will ground the signal before it's able to fry your device. So again, you can even get one for your ham radio. You can get one for your solar generator, your gas generator, your house, your boats, your RVs, anything that you want to keep running after an EMP or a CME, a Carrington level event even, then you will want to get one of these. And again, if you go through marfugelnews.com/EMP, you will not only get our $50 off, but you'll get the stacking. I guess it's per device, so like it goes up and up and up the more devices you get. So if you get one for your house, your car, your generator, you'll get a different discount as if you were to get one. You'll get 50 plus 20, or if you get 2 devices, 50 plus 30 plus, it keeps going up. So again, make sure to go check it out. People get mad at us. They actually get mad if we forget to mention these sales, and I always do. So I apologize. Last Black Friday, we didn't tell you until too late, and a lot of people could save money here, and that's a big thing. As far as this will save lives, if this happens, and honestly, a CME will happen. We don't know when. It happens on an average every 150 years. It's been 160. So when this does happen, again, this will protect your devices. So at least from the CME, that's a guarantee. It's just, where will our country be and where will our electronics and our technology be by the time that happens? We have a lot more sensitive stuff than we did when the last one hit. A Carrington level event hit, and it actually set off telegraph wires caught fire. Telegraph poles just literally blazed up. So again, now we have equipment that is 10 times less hardened and more fragile. So again, go to marfooglenews.com/EMP.
Tom Homan. I'm the former ICE director under President Donald Trump, and I'm here to ask America to wake up. You can protect yourself, and at the same time protect this great nation. The threat of electromagnetic pulse is real, EMP. If you don't know what it is, look it up. It's a matter of life and death. I recently partnered with a Midwest company, veteran-owned, that has developed a device you can hook up to your home or your vehicle to protect you against the EMP. I highly encourage you to go to EMPshield.com and research this device. Again, it will protect you, in the long term, protect this great nation. Thank you.
All right, that was Tom Homan, former ICE director. And then we're going to move on to our next story after this phone call. It looks like we have already lined up. Is that Brandon? Is it Brandon first? First-time caller, talks about the AWS terms of service. Oh, crazy. Okay. Dex, let's get Brandon on.
And Brandon's live, Adam.
All right, you're live on Marfoogle News. Brandon, what's going on?
Hey, Adam, how you doing, man?
I'm good. So what's happening?
Well, something was brought to my attention by my sister. And our family were what you would call conspiracy theorists. And it's on the Amazon Web Service page under their terms of service. I don't know if you have access to it to bring it up on the screen or not, but they have something that caught my attention in section 42.10. So it's buried, way deep down in there. But it basically is describing what I would think is a zombie apocalypse. And I just thought it was weird. Nowadays we know that everything they do is right in our face. You just got to know where to look for it. So I don't know if there's something to read into this, or, Dex and I were talking, maybe it's just a prank or a joke, but these are normally documents that would hold up in court. So I particularly don't think that it's a joke, that they put it in there to be funny, but I don't know. I can't say that, but
what was the,
I haven't heard anybody on YouTube.
What was it? What dot something?
42.10. So it's buried way down.
Okay, let me scroll down here. 11 dot.
And it's the second paragraph. It's under the lumberyard materials, and it's the second paragraph is particularly what I want to focus on. But if you read the whole thing, it's talking about lumberyard materials and what it excludes as far as the use of the materials, and they go into detail on that. But the second paragraph is like, wow. Okay.
And this is okay. So this is in the middle of like all this normal stuff talking about lumberyard. It says acceptable use, safety critical systems. Your use of the lumberyard materials must comply with AWS acceptable use policy. The lumberyard materials are not intended for use for life critical or safety critical systems, such as in operation of medical equipment, automated transportation systems, autonomous vehicles, aircraft or air traffic control, nuclear facilities, manned spacecraft, or military use in connection with live combat. It says, however, this restriction will not apply in the event of the occurrence certified by the United States for Centers for Control or successor body, like if that dissolves, of a widespread viral transmitted via bites or contact with bodily fluids that causes human corpses to reanimate and seek to consume living human flesh, blood, brain, or nerve tissue, and is likely to result in the fall of organized civilization. So yeah, you can call this a joke. And they buried this. Obviously, I'm surprised I haven't heard of this before. They buried this in their terms of service. 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 In their terms of That's crazy. How did you find out about this?
My sister actually brought it to my attention because her and I, out of our family, we're the two that are constantly digging for stuff and looking into things. And she actually brought it to my attention. So that's how I initially found out about it.
You know, that's funny and all a joke, but we have talked about China designing certain things, and they've actually talked about this as a realistic thing. So we have this, you know, such a huge kind of just laughing part of our brain. But when we hear zombies or reanimated people or anything like that, the thing is there are these things that they have created that could turn a person aggressive, just like rabies turns animals aggressive and they just want to talk. We actually talked about this where they can modify our DNA and modify just certain parts of our brain. And they can even do it by, you know, this is a real thing that China has been developing. And what they could actually do is they could deliver it via a small bullet, and it's the bullet the size of nothing. It would go in and it would be able to change certain things about you. So it could even take away your ability to walk, or it could take away, say you all of a sudden, boop, you get something and then you can't read for some reason. You've read your whole life, now you can't read. This is real. This is something that they have figured out how to do. And as far as turning people angry and just uncontrollably angry, that's something that they have already discovered. So that's like really kind of disturbing, kind of funny at the same time. I mean, like, that's wild.
Yeah, well, you know, and if you think about it, they've been desensitizing us to zombies for at least the last 12, 15 years. I mean, you got The Walking Dead, you know, there are all kinds of movies about zombies. And then you've got, you know, my kids play video games. They want to shoot Nazi zombies. They want to play zombie mode on Call of Duty. They had zombies in the Fortnite video game, you know, so it's like every time they get ready to kick something off, they always desensitize the general public beforehand. And I'm not saying that this is actually going to happen, but it's just really creepy that they've been hyping up zombies for the past 15 years, you know, and all of a sudden they're putting this in their terms of service through Amazon, which is one of the biggest, you know, corporate conglomerates in the world, for that matter. So, I mean, if they knew about anything that was going to be coming down the pike, you know, they definitely would know above a lot of other people or businesses. So
somebody Deep South said something about saying this is bullshit, I think, or somebody else might have done that, saying that this is regarding a specific game or something. I don't know how this is buried in the Amazon terms of service, if that was why the joke happened, but then said
it's not a game, it's an API.
So again, what API is in?
Yeah, so I can explain a little bit. So what it is, Amazon Web Services offers APIs, which are application programming interfaces that allow coders to write stuff using Amazon's platform. So this is the language that governs the terms of service, and Lumberyard is a section of the products that they produce for developers. So the statement itself is saying you can't use it for any of those things, but you can use it in the event of a zombie apocalypse, basically, right? I mean, that is what it's saying, and it's talking specifically about a specific section of the API.
Yeah. So, but as far as like why it's in there and how it's worded, obviously, possibly a joke. What I am saying, totally separate from this. And said, what's this? Deep South says zombies will not happen. We're not talking about zombies. Zombies is the word that is attached to movies and science fiction, and to the people that are coming out of the graves and eating your brains. First of all, we are talking about the same kind of thing, but not animated dead. We're talking about people with a virus that would make them extremely violent. That would make them basically over the top. They could have them do anything. Here's the thing. You can actually have a person do this. There is actual science behind it. It is 100% proven that they can alter parts of our brain now, that they can turn you into whatever they want to turn you into. They can take the use of your right foot away if they want. They can they could all of a sudden change something in your brain to where you're blind, but you still have the use of your eyes. You just wouldn't be able to use that part of your brain. You would not be able to taste. There's all sorts of things, and I've shown you that, and I gave you guys the information about that just about a month ago. We covered this, and it is, and they can even do stuff that is race specific. Race specific. They can go by your DNA. If they only want to affect certain races, they can do that now. So we're not talking about zombies. This is kind of wild. Most people will take this as a joke. I'm surprised I just haven't seen like a TikTok video blowing this up or, something like that. But yeah, very good catch on your sister's side though, Brandon.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you tired of people saying, "Let's go, Brandon"? Or
Dude, I've never felt so
good,
so encouraged in my entire life. It's like I walk out of the house and everybody's saying, "Let's go, Brandon." I'm motivated constantly. I feel good, man.
It's good. Well, the first, like, you're hearing it everywhere. You're like, yeah, I will. Thanks, man. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. All right, well, Brandon, thank you. I'm just gonna say, let's go, Brandon. All right, have a wonderful night, and thanks for calling in, man.
Thank you. Hey, real quick, I just want to say that I consider myself blessed to be able to have access to your show and the information that you and Dex put forth. And I want to say thank you to you guys and all the mods. We love you and we appreciate you.
Well, I hope if anything ever happens, you just fight for that ability to have that and continue to have that. So I hope that everybody does. I hope that people would stand up for us if anything did happen. I know they did stand up when we had our Discord taken down. So I know there's a lot of people out there that really, more than anything, it's the community. It's an awesome group of people. So thank you. And Brandon, you have a wonderful night, okay?
You too. Thank you.
All right. That was Brandon, and Dex. We can link this part of the service terms. I get what you're saying. So Lumberyard is like a nickname for one of their APIs, and then they basically threw in a little joke about this. I'm very surprised though. I haven't seen this on some sort of some sort of YouTube video or something talking about it. And then CIA files say that staffers committed crimes involving, they weren't prosecuted. Okay, so read this very carefully, and for those who can't read, SEX crimes involving CHILD, REN. Okay? That they weren't prosecuted. It says declassified CIA Inspector General reports show a pattern of abuse and a repeated decision by federal prosecutors not to hold agency personnel accountable. Over the past 14 years, the Central Intelligence Agency have secretly amassed credible evidence that at least 10 of its employees and contractors committed crimes involving little ones. Though most of these cases were referred to U.S. attorneys for prosecution, only one of the individuals was ever charged with a crime. Prosecutors sent the rest of the cases back to the CIA to handle internally, meaning few faced any consequences beyond the possible loss of their jobs and security clearances. That marks a striking deviation from how crimes involving have been handled at other federal agencies, such as Department of Homeland Security and the Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA. CIA insiders say that the agency resists prosecution of its staff for fear the cases will reveal state secrets. It says the revelations are contained in hundreds of internal agency reports obtained by BuzzFeed News through the Freedom of Information Act lawsuits. It says one employee had contact with a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. He was fired. A second employee purchased 3 explicit videos of girls filmed by their mothers. What? He resigned. A third employee estimated that he had viewed up to 1,400 images of, on agency assignments. Well, actually, so one thing I don't get is I know that they go in and secretly, on agency assignments. Well, what if they were busting that or something? I don't know. I would think that some of these are part of their undercover things, but, as far as some of these, they're basically doing it on their own time. They're getting caught, and then they're not getting charged because they don't want, for some reason, they don't want any of those people that are doing it, their information or any state secrets that goes along with it to get out. Or what if they're doing it, they're afraid if they put these guys in jail, then they'll go in jail and tell all these secrets to different, prisoners or something. Pissed off at the government, so they end up going and busting all of these secrets out or something. Because I guess the one thing that keeps CIA people quiet, think about this. If you put a CIA guy in prison for life, which is also, if a CIA member tells all the secrets and what are they afraid of? Well, they're afraid of going to prison for life for treason or for whatever, for telling state secrets, right? But if they're already in jail for life for 25 years, they're going to blurt that stuff out. I guess they would maybe be afraid of being life in jail, but most of them get really hard sentences for some of these gross things. So I don't know. Dex, do you think that that's why, or, why else would, why wouldn't they charge them?
Yeah, I think one of the main things is when you do get into court, the evidentiaries that happen on either side can get really broad, and it turns into an opportunity. Well, and I'm not defending this actually when I say this, but this is the position that the three-letter agency has taken, is that when these people go into court, or if they have to go to court, and it goes through that process can lead down a path where it gives up information that is highly sensitive. And so they try to avoid it. Now, I don't think that's right. And when you look at the stats, when you look at the stats against, say, DHS or any of the other, federal organizations, they prosecute, but apparently the CIA says, we'll just take care of it ourselves and, slap people on the wrist or fire them and let them go. And then, by the way, I think on the other thing, with the folks that were having access to the files, I think they're on duty, but they're not on duty for that. They're on duty, but they're getting access to that information that's not necessarily part of their case or part of what they're working. Because they don't necessarily work cases like the FBI does, but you know what I mean.
Well, the FBI
it's not appropriate. It's very inappropriate.
Because we covered the FBI guy that was doing the same thing, but I think he was charged. The FBI guy who his job was to investigate the abuse was actually into it himself. Like really sick stuff, right? I don't like talking about this stuff, but I will say, so we are clear, you take one of these guys to jail, or I'm sorry, to court. Well, then they start digging and going, well, when did this happen? Where were you? And then maybe the location he was somewhere where he wasn't supposed to be, or he was in a country that they were doing, spy work in or something, and technically they weren't on paper, but then it will come out that, he was in Israel or something like that. And then they're like, well, you weren't supposed to be there, or, whatever. You were in Norway. Oh, well, the U.S. government wasn't supposedly working on that operation. Things like that would be uncovered. Obviously, these are some of the higher up guys. If they're not being charged over those fears, these aren't administrative, or so I don't know. I guess we don't know enough, but it sounds like.
I think they cover the gamut, right? You've got, computer forensic guys that probably, work in this stuff. You've got field agents, you've got all sorts, it's going to cover a broad swath. I think the real problem is what they found was that doing the FOIAs on this was that they aren't prosecuting, and where other departments are, and that just seems wrong.
It is wrong. These guys are pieces of shit. All right, moving on. Gladly moving on. NYPD in standoff with armed man outside of the United Nations. So I never know what when there's things like this where there's people outside of UN or outside of embassies and things like this, we don't know what's really going on here. This could be another country doing some sort of act. Fantastic Freddy. It says there is heavy police presence outside the United Nations headquarters near East 42nd Street and First Avenue. Police are in a standoff, and this is in New York, It says police are in a standoff with a man who was on a sidewalk with a weapon. The incident at 42nd Street and 1st Avenue in Manhattan is ongoing at this time. Please continue to stay clear of the area. Expect traffic delays. Dex.
It's since been resolved.
Yes.
Yeah, it's since been resolved, but this was kind of crazy. We can't show you. It's obviously the type of image that we wouldn't want to show on the channel for various reasons, but I'm sure you can go Google it, find it. It's probably going to be in just about all the other news articles if it's not in this one when you get there. But the guy was, it was doing some pretty weird stuff with a shot, boom, boom, and holding it up to himself. So it was, and pacing back and forth and doing some crazy things. So it was not normal.
Yes, and then the original tweet here, due to police investigation, avoid the area 42nd and 1st Avenue. This was the original from NYPD News. Again, that has been since resolved. But, with the whole thing there, obviously we did it when it was fresher. Now that it's been resolved, hopefully everything and everybody was safe. It sounded like nobody was injured. That is correct, right? From what I saw.
Yeah, from what I saw, it's resolved. And I'll try to find some of the pictures I was talking about, and we'll put them on the web only so you guys can see them, but we're not putting them on the show.
Okay, yeah, it directly shows. I can't even do it with my hand. Do you know that if you do that with your hand, if I subtract these 3 fingers and go like that, it will pick it up. That's how good these algorithms are. I mean, it's insane. Calls on world powers to stop Iran to the store nuclear talks immediately. On Thursday urged world powers to halt nuclear talks with immediately, citing a UN watchdog's announcement with Tehran to the store has started producing enriched uranium with more advanced centrifuges. It says that Iran to the store is carrying out nuclear mail as negotiating tactic, and this should be answered by the immediate halt to negotiations and implementation of tough steps by world powers. That was Prime Minister Naftali Bennett's office quoting him as saying in a call with the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Remember, Antony Blinken is also the one who just said they are unaware of the Russia situation, and if Putin actually is planning a full-scale invasion, it looks like they have put the steps into place in short order, and they have done it at full capacity, as if they've got everything as far as the stuff to do it. As far as is basically getting these nukes or trying to get nukes together, and they're saying because they're doing that, we need to step in, go in their military. Basically, they almost want guns, bang bangs ablazing. They want us to take tougher steps than just the normal kind of slap on the hand. It says the International Atomic Energy Agency, or the IAEA, said on Wednesday that Iran had started the process of enriching uranium up to 20% purity with one cascade or cluster of 166 advanced IR-6 machines at its Fordow plant dug into a mountain. It says to the store and major powers are trying in talks in Vienna to revive a 2015 deal under which limited its nuclear program in exchange for release from U.S. UN economic sanctions. The United States withdrew from the pact in 2018. So, Blinken, the Secretary of State, he has himself involved. We have read his name on almost every serious article right now. I mean, it's like his job is basically involved in everything. So we are. I want to follow Antony Blinken, because man, that guy is in the middle of so much stuff right now. The whole world is flipped upside down. I mean, this is what we're talking about. Everything is flipped upside down. It is getting absolutely insane. It's not good. D. Susie, thank you, by the way. Keep bringing the info to awaken and alert the people, sending love to the entire Foogle family. Thank you. Dex, what was that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, we have said time and time again, we talked about this last night, if something happens in the Ukraine, Taiwan is going to go at the same time, or very likely close to it, right? And the other thing that we have said, and we've said this from time and time again, when this global, conflict happens, it's not just those two locations. It's also is in Iran to the store in the ME, right? That's the three hotspots. And what we're seeing with these two I countries is that they're getting to the point of, bringing that, what we're saying, or bringing that to the forefront, right? And to the point where they don't want to talk negotiations. They want to stop having talks. They want to really just go all out. And, one person wants to create, the weapons that they need to destroy the other, and the other wants to just go in and annihilate them, right? So it's this back and forth, but it's really escalating at a much greater level, not just in words, but even in the actions that these two countries are taking. And we called this, we said it. I mean, of course, everybody could say it because they've been at odds for years, right? But the whole notion that these three things have amped up sort of equally over time, and are just primed and ready to go at any moment, all at the same time.
Yeah, there's so much, like you said, primed and ready to pop. That's why we have to watch so closely. Which, again, before we talk about first U.S. fully, before we talk about that, I do want to remind you there's no better time than now to get prepared. Again, I don't know what people are really going to wait for, other than I guess the one thing that would hold most people back right now is their financial situation, which is even better. Again, you can end up getting a discount on certain deals when you use our link at My Patriot Supply. You can get long and short-term survival food. You can get water filtration. Again, I always say that water filtration is one of the most important things you could possibly do for yourself right now. Again, this is basically a lot. It's a one-stop shop for almost anything and everything survival related. Not only can you get the cool gadgets and things that you'll want to use during a survival stint, but you can also get the normal stuff that you would use during a 7-day power outage or say a winter freeze. Again, water filtration is why they say that 90% of us would perish in a massive EMP, is because we would not have potable water. So I guess water is definitely one. Food is number two. Again, long-term shelf food. If you don't have it, there's no better time than yesterday. So again, go to marfooglenews.com/prep. You can find everything from iodine pills to long-term food to emergency radios and even water and air filtration. So again, go over and check it out. Make sure to use that link and you will end up getting a discount and help your favorite channel at the same time. Again, that is marfooglenews.com/prep. Dustin Layton says EpiPen Island was just the beginning, and everyone on the elite side knew it. They want a pizza gate world for themselves. That's why Disney put it in plain sight. Oh yeah, it says let's go to Mars and it can be a pizza planet. Toy Story. Yeah. By the way, there's a couple people I saw that kind of have it related. I don't know if they knew that their screen names are kind of like something that's kind of a sign for something. But they've been a long time Foogle fan member, so I've just never really said anything. I'm like, knowing that whole thing a couple years ago, it changed I like never want to say I like that food ever, like just because it has such a huge connotation now. Now when I see it in like TV and news, I'm like, are they, is that symbology? Because the real deal is there is actual documents showing that they have used certain things for symbology. So if somebody says I like, a certain topping or whatever, that's a certain type of thing. So it's changed the way that I think about a lot of things. It's especially with TV and media and Hollywood, it grosses me out. And especially like there's a lot of Nickelodeon stuff, and I'm like, okay, I went back and looked at some of the stuff and some of the people that 10, 20 years later, they went crazy, or some of these child actors, and you go back to the stuff that they were doing when they were kids. It was like blatant. It was like right there. And it wasn't even like this is a stretch or a theory, right? This was like they were doing clear jokes, like inside jokes, before anybody knew about it. Then when they found out about it, you don't see as much of that on the TV, but it's like Disney and Nickelodeon, all these things, they were doing these blatant inside jokes. And the adults that were watching these kid shows and the directors and the producers, and they were in on it. They were putting these jokes and communicating to the outside world through their shows. Look up the Nickelodeon stuff. You'll be blown away. I mean, it's just a rabbit hole I never wanted to go down, and I was like just blown away at how much stuff there was, especially with even Leonardo DiCaprio and all these other people.
So do we have to call it butterflied calzone?
Yeah, something. Whatever you can. Butterflied calzone. I don't know. That you probably just like said something in Italy.
Yeah,
symbology.
who knows? Yeah, they probably just created something for that too. But no,
somebody's gonna clip you and they're gonna be like, "Oh, Dex does butterfly calzones. He's a real weirdo." You know what I mean? Yeah, you probably just listed something that's like way off. They're like, oh, we didn't even know they knew about butterfly calzones. Beth Bluey, hello, be safe all. Hear the helicopter. Okay, I'm glad you heard it. Dustin Layton, EpiPen was just the beginning. Beth Bluey, thank you again. Thank you for supporting. Seraphina, thank you for supporting. Viola Mintz, is government paying farmer? Okay, I will check on that, actually. I'm glad you put the link there. Let me copy that before it goes away. I will check that out after the show. And then over on DLive, thank you everybody that has been supporting. Susie P has been dropping in diamonds. And then D Susie says, keep bringing the info. Thank you. It's Jay, Cookielicious, Global Impact, Marfia for life. And then Scooby-Doo Do Right. Don't blame the PIE. Don't blame the PIE. The end is near. Bear Lover and Regina Phalanges. Global Impact. Gem, thank you for modding over there. Thank you, Chance Paladin and Jammer1, TKO Usi, and then Mariho828, and everybody else that was there. I was Jack. Thank you for being here. And Jammer1, thanks for gifting out Marfia badges. And then we have the first U.S. Omicron. We'll talk about that here after we get our next caller in. Let's get... we have... Survival Living. What is going on? Let's get Survival Living on the phone.
What's up, Adam?
Hey, what's going on? CFP, Central Florida Prepper, a.k.a. Survival Living, a.k.a. Cool Guy, a.k.a. Awesome Channel.
Well,
check him out.
I don't know how cool, man. My safe word's pineapple, so, just saying.
I'm not saying a word.
All right. So we got some things going on down here in Florida, man. I'm trying to be real careful with this because it's a touchy story pretty much. I was talking to Dex earlier about this. So our governor, I'm sure you've been able to see him in the news a lot, especially with what's going on with our country and how they're kind of going against the narrative on a lot of things down here, basically saying Florida's standing with Florida over anything else. Our governor's actually proposed that we are going to be trying to get our Florida State Guard back active. Last time it was active was back in 41 through 47 during Global 2. I guess I can use that word. So there's been a lot of speculation on this. This just came out a few hours ago, and I've been talking to some people about it. Now, the original narrative that they're pushing on this is because of the requirements the military is attempting to push on military personnel. You know what I'm talking about? They have to get a certain thing.
We'll call it interventions.
And this has opened up an
Canadian.
So this has opened up an avenue for National Guardsmen not to have to do that. All right, that's their main thing they're saying. But I'm also talking to a lot of my friends that are former military as well, and some active. And there is a concern that, we're going to be like the 24th state that actually does have this as active. if this goes through. And there's a lot of talk right now that it might be a requirement for us to have stuff in our own state. Now, there's a lot of people online right now that are running with the story about it being the governor's personal vigilante group and stuff like that, which is not. It was a state regulated, guards group. And that's what our governor right now is trying to get implemented again down here in Florida.
Well, obviously, it's been like one after another. Right after Black Friday, after these big corporations got their money, things have been kicking up a notch every single day. And they're saying, of course, this first case in the U.S. and now it's this. It literally feels like it's 2 years ago, and that guy is in Bellevue, and it's the first case, and there's robots handling him, and all of this stuff. It's like, is this all going to repeat? Are we going to see this same cycle? Are we now going to see a lot of these things, pick up? And then at the same time, we have this new deadline that's coming up, and it's like, it seems like something big may be going down in the next month. And I think it's kind of funny that it also coincides with how, Ukrainian president and the U.S. and information says that Russia may be invading in the next couple months, Ukraine, which would also most likely line up with China, which would also line up with this whole thing that's going on in the U.S. and other places as far as this deadline. It's almost like it's like chaos is on its way, or chaos is near.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at the whole thing across the board. You have to look at the whole picture of everything, how everything's lining up and stuff. Back when I was in basic training in the Air Force, my captain that I spoke to, they came in and spoke to us during our basic training there at Lackland Air Force Base. I'm sorry, and asked us, what is the purpose of conflict? Of course, everybody has their opinion. His actual answer to us was to degrowth the numbers of individuals on the planet. That was our captain telling us that. That was when I was in Lackland. Therefore, we call it basic training there. Everybody's their own names and stuff like that. But yeah, my captain, I'm like, and you're seeing everything going on right now with these other countries from taking out satellites, and we don't even know that these things were ever launched until after the satellite was removed. And I'm like, you mean you couldn't track this? You had no way of tracking this thing that was even airborne until after it smashed it. And then you got the other group, the other country that has a extending arm that can destroy a satellite. I mean, you take out our satellite system, you leave us blind. And it just sets up, I mean, there could be all kinds of different ways this actually plays and, goes in. And a lot of people are pushing and looking towards a few months after the new year. My belief, stay prepped and keep prepping, because I'm not going to get caught with my blue jeans off. Let's put it that way. I don't want to say it the wrong way. we were talking about another organization just a minute ago.
Well, I mean, we're talking 2022. There was also a lot of rumors over the last 10 years that all revolved around 2022. And now it seems like all of these things are coming true. And we are at the very end of 2021. We are heading into, at the very least, if you follow all of these different rabbit holes, they all end in like 2024, 2025. So at the very least, we've got like 2 or 3 years left of like, if any, and by the way, most of these things that on, the internet and the internet are real people. A big chunk of it is people that have talked or put information out there. The problem is it's like looking for, a needle in a stack of thousands of other needles. People put real stories out along with other, real information, but then it's surrounded by crap. But the sheer amount of stuff that points to like 2024, 2025, it's like one of those things has to be right, at the very least one. So we're looking at bad things happening no matter where you look. Even if you go with mainstream science says by 2030 we're going to have all these catastrophic events happening on Earth, and there's no way to stop it. But what if they did say remove a billion people off of Earth? Would that help? I wonder. Or maybe 2/3 of the population. Would that help? Would we be able to save the planet then? Because that nobody talks about this. You can remove all the cows, or you can remove all the meat, or this or that. If we're going off of what they say, they could also be thinking, well, we need to remove humans, but only the crappy ones, which in their minds, everybody that makes under $400,000 a year.
Yeah, I agree what you're saying on that. On what they would be attempting something. No,
you're cutting out there.
Not. Oh, I'm sorry. I got bad reception.
That's right.
How about now?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So I had to step outside. My trailer works like a Faraday cage when I step inside. So I was just reading a story on the great trash heap out there, and they're in the, I think it's the South Pacific and stuff, all the plastic deposits and everything. You know, I mean, that was created by man. All that trash is just dumped there. That does affect everything. I think the changing the growth of the population would be more of a control issue. It'd be easier to control many, but look at what they've accomplished in the last 2 years with just a, thing going on right now, and they can completely control everything. So I don't think they'd have to go to the extreme as far as depopulation for just control alone. I mean, they've been able to do it right off the bat, and look what's going on in other countries right now. I mean, today with Germany, with their announcement, Austria, their announcement, India, with what's going on over there. I mean, basically no food, no fuel in India. They straight out said that. That was Ice Age Farmer had covered a good story on that one. But yeah, a lot of crazy stuff.
Well, there's definitely a lot on the horizon, and that's why we tell people, there's no better time than yesterday to get yourself just ready spiritually, and don't be afraid of this. I mean, we just got to take every single day, day by day, and we got to look out for our own families. We got to look out for everybody we can. Speaking of which, again, I appreciate you, and you always send people our way, and we try to send people your way as much as possible. If you guys haven't checked out CFP, aka Survival Living, is his channel now. What are you at now? You've been growing like crazy.
Oh yeah, we're coming up on 27,000. I think we broke 26,000 a couple of days ago. So the channel is growing a lot. We're getting a lot more responses with our outdoor survival stuff, our training stuff with that. But yeah, when it comes to preparedness, that's not being scared. I mean, that. If you're prepared, you're not scared. You're ready for whatever's coming. And it's just having multiple plans. You got to think things out, talk to people, build yourself some, community groups that you have some. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of lone wolves out there. I'm not going to argue with those guys or anything like that. Pick your own scenario, works best for you, but being prepared is not being scared. It just means that you're ready for whatever's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, CFP, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I hope a lot of people get over there and end up putting that over 27,000. And yeah, you're coming up on 30,000. That's a big milestone. So congratulations, and just congratulations on your general success and how you just keep putting the work in, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger and better and better. So thank you.
Well, I definitely do appreciate that, Adam. And yeah, I'm always throwing people towards y'all and stuff, man. You're my go-to on my news sources because you cover so much. You've always backed up your news sources. You give us the documentation that we can actually follow up ourselves, which makes it perfect. Like you've always said, do your own research, but you're also giving the articles. All someone has to do is just take the time just to read it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, CFP. If you guys want his link, you can go to marfooglenews.com and find him there. Also, if you can, I think that I like the use of interventions, right? Canadian Prepper, I watched a video the other day of him in his car, and he said that, I think that's a good way to say it. When you try all these funky spellings of the stuff and all that, in general, we are held, we're held for all of that stuff. So please, if you can, try to use interventions. Everybody here will know what you're talking about. In fact, you can probably say, when you say the J word or any of that, they know all of those. So again, if you'd like to see, if you like our show, I guess, try to help us out there. And then let's see here. Minnesota reports second case of the U.S. OMI in resident who traveled to New York City. So they're basically saying, and by the way, this goes hand in hand with an article that we covered the other day that said that it's secretly popping around New York City, right? It says Minnesota public health authorities confirmed Thursday what appears to be the second U.S. case of the OMI, which, by the way, when it was the Delta, right, that last variant, if anybody told you that they had the D thing, right, they were lying, because they legally could not tell you if you had it or not. Dex, is that not true? They were not allowed to tell the person which one they had. And I was trying to remember
I don't
why.
even know that they could technically figure it out either, right? I mean, there's not, I don't know. I'm not in this field, so I don't know, but it seems to me like there's a lot of effort and work that goes into actually validating a test in a way to figure out if it is that, and it's not something that could just be done, at a place and said, oh, well, that's what you have. I've verified it.
So, I mean, I don't understand how they're verifying which ones have which one. And but that gentleman in California, he knows because they told him. But I don't get why you could tell him in the first few, but then after that, it's like you don't know which one you have, or at least that's what they say.
And just to add to this article, the third one is now out, and it's Colorado.
Do you see a pattern here, people? Like, this is the exact replay. This is why. Okay, people, don't go nuts. Go and just get some stuff. The stores are still pretty, normal. Just get a couple extra stuff just in case for the next couple weeks. Because guess what? What you're betting on is not the actual event happening. It's the panic from the people. The panic from the people. Look what happened in China. And by the way, this is all, it's like China told its people, they panic bought. They said, hey, everybody should stock up on extra stuff for the next couple months. So China knew. China told its people to stock, and they freaked out. They panic bought. And then when everybody thought, oh my gosh, they're going to war with Taiwan, which they may be doing that in the next couple months too. That could be why this whole thing is going on. But they told them, and they panic bought. And then when they tried to get them to quell the panic, they said, "Oh no, don't panic. We're not going to war. We're not taking over. This is because we you might be locked down again." People are like, "Oh, I feel so much better. Oh, you're just going to lock us down again." Whew, I thought you guys were going to go to WW3. Whew. We're just going to be going back into draconian measures, right? So think about that. That was in early November, right after Black Friday, when America, all of their corporations got their money. Boom. Saturday morning, they announced. And now they're saying, oh, it could be everywhere. And now they're saying, boom, boom, boom. Every day it's gotten crazier. And now, every day since Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we've had press conferences, response teams, addresses, presidential addresses. This is come on. It's like a B movie. You can see it. I hope you are not blind to this. The people that said that my prominent military member was wrong, guess what? He wasn't. It's like, how direct of information and intel do you need me to do? Which, who knows? I might also have some other stuff, and I'm just gonna straight up say it, right? We'll see.
Well, hey, what CFP was talking about is kind of a big deal when you think about it. When you have a state-run guard, it's totally different from a national-run one, right? Obviously, the governor can call up the national and use them, but the Fed can override and even step in and and pull back or change the directives of what's needed, right? But when it's state run, the state has full control. So it's really interesting when we've heard these theories that have gone around about, oh, well, what happens if, all of a sudden this part of America lops off from that part of America? The real question has always been, well, how you couldn't do that without having your own, military, right? You couldn't do that without having the ability to support yourself or sustain yourself or defend yourself. So this type of thing, while it may be guised in the notion of, well, we want to have our state guard and we don't necessarily want to have these rules that they have to follow, it can also lead to other things like what I was just describing.
Which none of it is good. None of it.
No.
So who knows? And then I'm going to be watching there's a couple more states that I'll be watching closely here. I just want to make sure before we get behind. Happy Hippie Crochet says, "Hey Adam, did you get the beanies for the homeless we sent you?" No, I did not. I will have to talk to you, and I believe I got one of your numbers from Snaps. I will make sure to give you a call. It looks like we need to figure something out with that. But either way, we will figure something out, and we will. We were planning on doing that before Christmas, or we usually do. We hand out stuff shortly before Christmas. My sister, we used to do it every year. We haven't in the last couple of years, but we go and hand out food, socks, whatever we can, and then we go caroling in downtown Seattle. We go to different places like the Salvation Army and things like that. So either way, we'll get it done. But I do need to talk to you guys about that because I wonder if you guys got that back. And then Beth Bowie, thank you. Toss Dare says, "I hope everyone's prepping, gardening, going well. Take care and stay safe all." Looks like, is that real? Wait a second. Toss Dare, hope everyone's prepping, gardening, going well. Zenwen AZ, thank you, says, "Love it, caller Brandon, and zombie talk is real, unfortunately. It's all connected, just follow the dots." Dorothy Tucker, I missed you as well. It's a I Am Legend, not Dawn of the Dead. I Am Legend, like robots, not Dawn of the Dead, not zombies, but maybe AI or robots. Seth Covington, again, thank you. Says, "I just bought an EMP shield for my truck. Can't wait." That's awesome. Seraphina, I missed your super sticker. Thank you. Ariel, the Wrestling Mermaid, says, "Hey, Marf," from Allie and Mike Penna. Thank you. And then looks like Ammo Hoarder 10mm says, "Got Xmas bonus today. Our new government took over 2.5 thousand of it." Let's go, Brandon. Oh, so you got your Xmas bonus today, and our new government took 2.5 thousand of it. By the way, I don't, a lot of people were saying that they were getting their checks or something. I still don't understand, how do you even get that? As if I needed another reason to own a square body truck from the 80s. Jehan Seseda. By the way, I collect little tiny square bodies along with my good buddy Dave. It's a newer thing I've been collecting. And then Michelle Frankham, thank you for all you do and the time and the effort you keep us awake and informed. Call it the universe or God. You are making a difference, keeping our eyes open. You have not been blind to see what is going on. You actually have to be blind not to see what is going on. Keep up your head in faith. Again, thank you. And then, Marf, I used a clip from yesterday's show in Matrix Resurrections Deja Vu Octopussy vid relating this one to Omi. Check it out. Yeah, no problem. Again, if you are using it for good, Joseph, you've always had permission. But again, I thank you for doing that. In fact, you always send people our way too. And then again, Michelle Frankham, thank you so much for your massive support. If that was for any reason an accident or you did the little scroll bar, I've done that before. Make sure you fix that. You can. That's why they wait to do it and to give it out. Thank you so much. If that was on purpose or not, if it was $1, thank you so much for your support. Bible Truths, hi, and God bless you all. I only have 13 subscribers. Can I please get a shout out? Lots of love and blessings. XX Dorette from South Africa. Bible Truths, I have to check it out. Is South Africa really bad right now? And they just donated in the actual South African currency there, so I know you're legit. How bad is it, really? Hi, and God bless you all. And then Justin True, Corinthians 2:3-17. Now the Lord is that Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Justin True, thanks for coming by, man. You've been stopping by a lot. I really appreciate you. It's been a while. Aloha. And then watch YouTube channel Unheard Video is called Inside Australia. CIC, just wow, says Bible Talk for Common People. And Delaware Sasquatch, it's very unscientific way they are determining the O. It's based on 3 genes in or on the PCR being detected, and one specific gene is being undetected. Yeah. They say that it was in Europe before South Africa, but yet South Africa is going to be shut down. The tourist season is done. People are going to lose their businesses, all sorts of stuff. And they have zero, in parts of it, they have zero new, if you know what I mean. It says the civs spreading new OMI had been in Europe before it was reported in South Africa. Officials revealed on Tuesday. That's all you should know. If you're following everything that's going on, then you would go, oh my gosh. Well, they just did some really messed up stuff to South Africa then.
Well, and didn't we open travel about a month ago from Europe into the U.S.? And so by lifting those, because we talked about it, we have family members that hadn't seen each other for a long time. We're finally able to meet up. So this message is a message of making sure that, we know that it's not just coming from Africa. It can now be traced through Europe, and take that for what you need to take.
Well, I mean, that adds more fear to it, right? So,
yeah, and I don't know. Are we going to turn around and shut down, Europe now, or is it just, that's going to explain this big, the fact that we have 3 states in one day? I don't know.
Let's get our next caller. Let's see what they think about all of this, and then looks like we have Jason, another first-time caller, talking about gematria and the last 3 prezes. Calling from Nebraska. Let's get Jason on. By the way, able-bodied, thank you for the $17.76 PayPal. That is awesome. Thank you. And you even sent a message with your donation. That's without saying, and you sent a message without saying a message. And then AKA Chicky R, any Yellowstone fans out there, imagine Beth Dutton as president. Whoa, sending love from Northeastern Maryland. Thank you, AKA Chicky R. Appreciate you. All right, Jason, you're live on Marfoogle News. What's going on?
Not much. Sorry, a little nervous. First time caller yet.
Oh, don't worry.
I've been going down a rabbit hole of gematria, and sometimes things are pressed on me. Hey, you need to look this up, and then it's no, you need to look further. You need to look further. First time it happened was with Mr. 45, and the way he spells out his first name, just the single middle initial, and then his last name.
Go on. So,
am I coming clear?
Yeah.
And that came out when I did that. It came out through English as 888, which is supposed to be the Messiah. But I was told in my mind is just keep going further. So I started researching, and it was searching on the internet everywhere, getting confirmation from people off of YouTube, and then actually physically finding it on the internet on other web pages, learning about ancient Hebrew and how that there were no vowels. The vowels were annotated on the consonants, so you could actually read the word and know which vowel to put there. So I decided I took the vowels out of the name, and that brought it down to the book of Revelation. You count the number of the name. We all know that. I just don't want to say it because I don't want to get hit for that. You guys get hit for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Jason. basically everybody's already saying it. So yeah. I've never heard. I don't know. We have people that talk about the gematria and other channels that talk about it a lot more. I am not an expert by any means. I do see
I'm
a
not
lot
either,
of it.
so take what I say with a grain of salt.
But I do, and then I do think that a lot of the folks that are into gematria, some of them are pretty extreme. The one thing I don't like, though, is the same thing with, say, the Earth community, the plane, the gematria community. Sometimes can be like, almost kind of rude. I've had a lot of them come in and they're like, this number is this number. I see symbols everywhere, and I know. As far as, there's symbols in Hollywood. There's symbols all over the place. There's Luma, naughty. There's all that. And with gematria, the people that don't think that they use numbers and things like this in plain sight, they need to look at it, because it is like it is a huge rabbit hole. Because guess what? Even everything in nature has these weird mathematical, infinity numbers and these weird, like
yes.
the petals on a flower. It's just perfect numbers and all these weird things that have happened throughout nature. It's like we're in the Matrix or something.
It is very beautiful how the world is without the numbers and everything. And don't take what I saw myself and what I felt to truth. Everybody could research it for themselves, and they'll find out their own truth.
So
that's what everybody is having problems with. They can't realize that everybody's going to see stuff their own way. And just because they see it their way doesn't mean it's wrong.
Now, how did 888 equal? You said it equals the Messiah. Is that right?
Yeah.
Could that also mean that it's supposed to look like the Messiah, and it could be the the Antichrist or something like that?
Yeah, the first white horse.
Oh, crazy!
Because he got a lot of people. He got a lot of people to follow it. Because there was a lot of people out there that he's dead, Kim Clement saying prophesizing about him, and also the firefighter from New York City prophesied that he's going to be president.
By the way, I just want to say, screen name Beer Juice. So they named themselves Beer Juice. Said, beer makes gematria tolerable. it's like he's a character in itself, right? Well, beer will make that tolerable. Coming from Beer Juice.
Yeah,
that's funny. Somebody said, Heartbroken Survivor says, hard to understand. So just to make it simple, in you're kind of a beginner, basically, but what is gematria? Can you explain gematria to anybody that has never heard of it?
Every letter has a value. You could do basic gematria where A equals 1 and all the way to Z. And when you get into Hebrew or Greek, it changes the value of each letter. And with every different language, not every letter that is in English is actually interchangeable with Greek or Hebrew. It's a basic way of adding up the numbers of the names, because was Greek, the V means 5.
And once you went down the rabbit hole of gematria, did you see things that you didn't expect, like things that all started lining up?
Oh, there's crazy stuff out there. Was it the little girl singer Billie Eilish? She comes up at 666 with some of her songs saying, "I'm the bad guy." That was weird. And then let's say David E. Grohl from Foo Fighters. His is 888, and a lot of the stuff that he does, he's really a really good person. It's weird. Like, you can see people's aspects in their life by their numbers.
I want to show you something. When you talk about Billie Eilish, right? She did this really disturbing music video of her as like a evil thing. The toy This is sold in all of the Targets, and I've noticed this. I don't know if there's any symbology with her being in this yellow sweater, but she's also got these dolls, and they're all over Targets, and little kids are buying this doll of Billie Eilish as basically like a demon or something, like a Hell's Angel or something. It's just disturbing, and
it's disturbing how fast our world turned upside down, where right became wrong and wrong became right.
It's really weird. Yeah, more disturbing stuff than that too. And I saw that there's several Billie Eilish like really creepy things out there. How she puts the black blood tears coming out of her eyes and just disturbing. Like, this is
All
what our
these
kids
people
look up
from
to.
Los Angeles, the Los Angeles, don't follow them.
Look at this. Look at this. There's a picture of her covering one eye. I mean, that's
symbolic.
Yeah. Look at this. She's got
They
her
all see
hands
it.
up. Look at this. She's covering her eye. You see that? Look at that. She's doing like
They're all telling us in plain sight, and nobody wants to see it.
Look at that. She does it again. And she's saying she's showing the nail game, right? She's showing her nails. That's not showing her nails. That's symbology right there.
Yeah, but I don't want. I got more, but I'll call back because I don't want to take up a lot one.
That's all right. And don't worry. By the way, sometimes when we do get people, I'll always be respectful in chat. There's 5,000 people, and if one person says, "Oh, next" or something, that's not allowed. So, by the way,
I don't even care.
But what happens is
we all have our own opinion.
Callers all they end up watching themselves on the show, and they'll watch it over again, and they'll read the chat, and they'll see some meanie. Don't worry about that. I appreciated your call, and I thank you. Is there anything else you want to say before you go?
Just follow the Beatitudes out of the Sermon of the Mount, and you'll start feeling better in life.
All right. Well, thank you. Again, such a pleasure to talk to you. It's your first time call. Don't make it your last. And I appreciate you. And thank you, Jason.
You're welcome. Bye.
That was Jason, another first-time caller, 2 first-time callers today. Yeah, what do you think about Billie Eilish? You know, now they've turned her like blonde, and she's very respectful, and she went from being the bad guy and like, but she was 17, and like, you know, even the music video shows her riding on a guy's back and like, I'm a man, yeah. The song was catchy as hell, I have to say. That song, there's songs out there that just like you can't not just get into, and that's when I almost think those got to be like the devil is literally like interjecting into those songs, because it's like you can't not listen to that song. And I don't know, maybe because you know the devil has superpowers, and could they what do they call it when you hypnotize somebody? Hypnotic, you know, superpowers to what do you call that? Just like that show on Netflix that has the devil seducing. He has seducing powers. Dex, do you want to talk about some of the and I did want to hit this supermassive black hole on a collision course, closest pair of supermassive black holes to Earth ever. We didn't cover this. This was kind of big news 2 days ago. And it says, using a European Southern Observatory's Very Large Telescope, astronomers have revealed that the closest pairs of supermassive black holes to Earth ever observed. The two objects also have a much smaller separation than any other previously spotted pair of supermassive black holes, will eventually merge into one giant black hole. That's pretty funky. I always thought if we can see it, then shouldn't we be being sucked into it or something? But anyways,
you can't see it. That's the whole point. You just see the absence of light, right? So there are no stars in that area, so therefore, or there is no light coming through that area. Therefore, you know it's there.
It's so crazy.
But you know what they say is really crazy is that we think we've seen this once before because we saw a bright light, and the only thing they could come up with was that was a light that was coming from two black holes combining. But technically, we haven't actually seen this happen, except for that thing I just mentioned. But when this does happen, or if this does happen, and especially being close to us, it's supposed to be a huge gravitationally violent activity in that area. And we don't know what the ramifications are and how far it stretches and spreads, but when they actually do, combine, it's a big deal, because these are two very strong forces that have to, they don't just, it's not like peanut butter and chocolate. They don't just taste great together. They, sort of battle it out in this nasty gravitational dance, right?
That's what they say. Again, I've never seen, they're changing science about space every day, and they even talked about how the dark matter thing would change everything. And I've never been to space, so I don't claim to know about it.
Well, all we can do is look at what they tell us and look at what they we can ignore it, or we can explore it. Doesn't hurt to I think it's probably a little bit more dangerous to put your head in the sand and say anything that they tell you is bunk. It's better to at least try to understand it, because something may be of value there, no matter which way you want to skin that cat.
Well, I'm not going to skin a cat. If you want to talk about the web-only content, again, thank you. And then looks like somebody, I have a random phone here. That's funny. Go ahead and talk about the web-only content.
Absolutely. We don't want to put random phone calls on air, right?
No, I think one of my buddies left their phone over here. So good thing we heard it. Good thing we heard it ring.
Yeah,
that's funny.
All right, so head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, scroll down to web-only content, everything else you've been missing, the rest of the story. Lots going on there. Everything that's sort of too hot for TV, things we can't talk about. I'll give you a little sneak peek. You can find out what Kyle is planning to do with his Bang Bang, the infamous one that was used in court, that he obviously used in that incident. He's doing something with it, so you can find out. That's there. Lots of other breaking and interesting stories going on around even things like BlackRock, which we've talked about before, and the Speaker of the House. So go take a look, marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show, scroll down to web-only content, and once you're done there, make sure you catch up on all the caller information. It's right below there. So if you're on YouTube, open the description, first link. So easy to get to.
And all of the callers, everything's going to be over there. Make sure to go use that. I want to thank Scooby-Doo-Do-Right. Thank you for being number one in supporting us over on DLive. Texas Rob 49. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for being in continued support. I want to say for at least over a year now. And then D. Susie, thank you so much. That one Ninja Guinea put you in the top 3. Thank you. I appreciate that. Milagro, Bear Claws, everybody over there, I appreciate you. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. It's not buffering. It's butter. It's DiGiorno. It's not buffering. It's DiGiorno. But you took the wrong side. Now we're all gonna die. All gonna die. I knew that you wanted to fly, but you took the wrong side. Now we're all gonna die. Another very special thank you. Just wanted to say, who was that? Michelle Frankham. Looks like you were the top supporter over on YouTube. Thank you. Appreciate ya. Thank you to Happy Hippie Crochet. Make sure to go check them out. Tara Belay 3, thank you, says also, watch out words. They have power. And the Bible says they create there what we say here. Thaddeus J says numbers are a way of showing measure when you can prove what expressing it is easier for others to comprehend and accept what is being shown. Kimberly, thank you for the super sticker. And then Adam, Lucifer was the worship music guy in heaven, wasn't he? Would make so much sense as to why they draw us in and sometimes against some of our belief and will. That was Tara Belay 3. And then Dave Round, thank you. It looks like from Europe for the super sticker. Thaddeus J says variant, aka variable of something, is seen by a test that is not designed to measure the medium of what is being detected, like using a tire pressure gauge to see what time it is. Know the times. I Am Legend with Live Zombies started with a cure too, says Dorothy Tucker. Thank you. Justin True, thanks for stopping by. Matrix 45, thank you. Holiday Kisser Medellina, thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate all of you. We are just a few away from 37,000 on D-Live. Thank you, D-Live, D-Lovers. Kona 222, Boxer Moms, Squisher Yawns, and Deborah Tata 49 for following. I just want to go back right. I know that we won't go. By the way, Lisa R. Hall is doing fine. She has some pain in her eyes. It's actually hurting her to see. But she said she'll be back on Wednesday. She's spending time with family and having family dinners. The license school rule had Matthias J. Tammy DeWitt and Jeremy J. By had lost 60% of his candidate Erisa for Marfoogle pie. Marfoogle pie. Marfoogle pie. Oh, I'm glad. I did not see Lisa, but I knew she was going to be stopping by. Thank you, Ilea. M.E.M. Texas. M.E.M. Texas. M.E.M. Texas. M.E.M. 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 Texas. M.E.M. Texas. M.E.M. Texas. Ho, ho, ho. M.E.M. Texas. M.E.M. Texas. M.E.M. Texas. M.E.M. M.E.M. Don't